foundation of good food is flavor. The best way to get flavor is herbs and spices. Blending herbs and spices together is like putting together a good choir. You need a good mix of voices and accents in order to make something beautiful. The wrong mixes of notes, or having one or too many of one type of vocal, will result in discord or one set of voices overpowering another. You could look at it like a well-built organ. Many different kinds of pipes and structures are required in order to sound in balance. A mix of spices is sometimes used to mimic another, just like an organ can mimic another instrument. You are better off putting together your own mix of spices. Adding spice to a dish should be a separate operation from adding salt, also known as seasoning the dish. Most commercial mixes are mostly salt, and if more spice is needed to add flavor to a dish, you will end up adding more salt than it really needs. Moreover, because salt is cheap, it tends to make up the majority of the mass of those mixes. As such, if you want to have better control of the salt in your food, which is always a good idea, then making your own blend of herbs and spices is worth the effort. You will also get the most out of the spices you purchase and be able to make use of much better quality of the spices you use. For instance, fresh ground pepper will always result in more flavor than any pre-ground product. You also get to pick what flavors you want to use and focus on. I have put together my own blend of herbs and spices that I use in many different applications and dishes. When I first put it together, I made it to put on beef and burgers. I called it Dan's Beef Rub. After I used it a few times, I started putting it on more than just beef. My brother came up with his own name for it. I'll let him explain where he got the nickname from.
My brother used to work as a short order cook at the Training Table restaurant and developed the nickname Daniel Boone. He invented his own sandwich there, which they called the Boone Burger. For his birthday party at work, they treated us to his sandwich, and I learned his nickname. The next time he used his spices, I called him by his nickname, Boone Spice. Eventually, the name stuck.
Step one is going out to get the spices to use. A well-stocked pantry doesn't have many of these herbs and spices, but I'll work under the assumption that you have none of them. To get started, you'll want to go to your local spice section of your local supermarket and look over what they have available. The closer you can get to whole spices, the better. Spices stored in glass bottles are better than plastic bottles, but best when you buy your spices that are in tins. We'll start with the herbs. First, you will need dried parsley, rubbed sage, rosemary, and thyme. Yes, I'm a Garfunkel fans. These make for a solid foundation. You will also need dried minced onions and garlic powder. That's garlic powder, not garlic salt. There is a difference. I also do include, as part of my mix, 2 commercial blends, Prudhomme's Magic, which is salt-free, and Emeril's Essence. You also need both Smoked Paprika and Sweet Paprika. Make sure you get the sweet paprika instead of a hot paprika. The cans do look similar. You also need whole peppercorns, both black and white, Red Pepper Flakes, and Cayenne Pepper. Now it's time to get everything together. Your first step is to get out your blender and set it up according to the operator directions. Remember, safety is always first. Never run this without having the lid on. Before adding anything, either use the insertion cap, see the little hole, or stop the machine before removing the lid to add items. Never use utensils to store anything inside while it is running. And never reach into the unit unless it is completely unplugged. Now take out all of your spices and measure out everything into separate containers. This will make everything easier once you want to mix things. This is called mise en place. Learn to love this idea. It makes everything easier. First, put in your whole spices, like the peppercorns, the minced onions, the red pepper flakes, and the rosemary, and run the machine until everything is broken up.
Now add everything else. Now run the machine until everything is well combined.
Stop the machine and let it sit for at least a minute before doing anything with this mixture, unless of course you like crying more than the last 5 minutes of Old Yeller. Now pour everything into a shaker, applying easier. And that's all there is to it. Now you are ready to add flavor to lots of different dishes and foods. Not only is this good on beef, it goes well on salmon, chicken, pork, and is really good sprinkled on baked potatoes.